I was scared, but maybe even more so heartbroken because I knew who had taken it. My mom sometimes borrowed money from me to pay her debts or get her next hit. And when the money disappeared, so did she, often for days at a time. I always knew she would come home, and sometimes she eventually paid me back. Either way, I never questioned her, for I was too respectful and loved her too much. She was still my mom, after all. This time was different. The money wasn't mine, and I had to say something. "Mom," I said when she returned home 4 days later, "my money from the wrapping paper sales is missing." To this day, I recall seeing my mom standing in the doorway to my bedroom, looking worn and tired as she stared at me with a blank look. Her reply was a punch in the gut. "Well, did you lose it somewhere?" No, it was all in my top drawer." "Well," she said, "I don't know what to tell you." Then she turned and walked out of the room. I knew in my heart she was lying, and I was devastated. A couple of days later, sober and feeling guilty, my mom came clean about her actions. She told me that she had indeed taken the cash to pay bills, but she promised to pay me back in a day or two. I believed her, but she never did. Desperate, I told the people we were staying with, the Fosters, what happened. I was consumed with fear, embarrassment, and shame for having to ask them for help. I felt alone at that moment. Thankfully, they were sympathetic enough to give me the $40 to replace what my mom had taken. We all have the gift of hindsight that we can use to navigate the road ahead, which leads to the question, what do we wish we knew as children that we know now that could have helped us then? More than anything, I wish I knew then that fear is a choice and that we can shift our thoughts and actions from negative to positive. This concept can be difficult even for an adult to grasp. Still, the possibility and power are always there, and the younger we learn how to do it, the sooner we can direct the trajectory of our lives toward a destiny of happiness and fulfillment. When I was a kid, the adults around me were untrustworthy, to put it kindly, and my fear abounded. Fear of where I would live each day. Fear of going to bed hungry. Fear of being alone. Fear of having nobody to turn to if I needed help with anything. Fear of just being with my parents. About a year or so before the wrapping paper incident, when I was 6 years old, I was living with both my parents in Southern California. My dad was using drugs and often abused my mom, which I witnessed. My mom used drugs and alcohol as well, and she also had a boyfriend on the side. I feel she became involved with this other man because of her addictions and a deep-seated need to be taken care of. After a while, my mom wanted out of the toxic relationship with my dad, so one day she ran away when Dad wasn't home and took me with her. We spent that first night in an abandoned school bus in a ditch lit by lanterns. There were 8 other people there using heroin and performing sex acts on one another. I pushed my way to a seat in the back, covered my ears, and closed my eyes to escape this horrible scene. Mom kissed me on the forehead and told me she loved me, and then she joined her friends. In retrospect, as awful as that experience was, it was probably one of the first times that I learned how to deal with fear, at least to the extent that a 6-year-old can in that kind of situation. Closing my eyes and ears to the earthly world gave me some internal comfort because I could use my mind to shield myself from the pain around me. This miraculous experience was the first time I saw the healing white light, which profoundly changed me. While I was in the physical presence of monstrous acts being committed, I was shielded from them by shutting out the outside world and going within. As I grew up and reflected on that night in the bus, I realized it was in that difficult moment when I first surrendered to something greater than me.